I do want to say before we dive in that you want to make sure that you never put yourself in any sort of danger. So if you are feeling like you are in any sort of danger, please don't put yourself there. The point of this video is to hurt them in a way that is going to push them out of your life so that you can break free, so that you can walk away, so that you can erase them from your memory, so that you can erase them from your life. The real pain for them is to be erased. That's kind of the end game here. So, how do you get there? How do you move toward that place, right? Because you're the one who constantly feels like this ain't fair. How's this happening? Everyone's believing their lies. They constantly get away with everything. Believe me, I know. I hear it all the time. I hear the pain. I hear the constant feeling of you're on the defense and you want to know, how do I get on the offense? By the way, if you haven't subscribed here, I invite you to do that now. Subscribe, hit that notification bell. And if you want phrases for disarming narcissists, go ahead and grab my free phrases for disarming narcissists at disarmthenarc.com. They'll help you in any situation as well. And I'm Rebecca Zung. I've written a best-selling book, USA Today #1 best-selling book, Slay the Bully, How to Negotiate with a Narcissist and Win. And I invite you to grab that too. How do you hurt a narcissist forever? Well, the first step for doing that is to create these super strong boundaries. Narcissists will push your boundaries. They're going to push your buttons. They're going to do everything they can to push your buttons. They get supply from that. What is supply? Supply is anything that feeds this deep, dark hole that's inside of them. They feel like they have no inherent value. So they have to get all of their value from external sources. I always say they're like that chocolate Easter bunny that looks really nice on the outside, but on the inside, there's nothing going on. It's totally hollow inside. At least that's how they feel. They look beautiful when they first come around, but as soon as you see what's going on inside, there's nothing there. They don't feel anything. There's no heart there. In fact, they take cues from other people on how they're supposed to look as far as what it looks like to care. It's like they don't actually feel the care. They just know what it looks like to pretend to care. That's not caring. They thrive on this manipulation. They thrive on control. But they also thrive on image. What do they look like to the world? So I always say there's two forms of supply: diamond level supply, which is their image, how they look to the world, and then what I call coal level supply, which is manipulation and control. Now, it's really important that you understand those two different tiers of supply, because one is going to definitely be more important than the other. And you can hurt them on the diamond level supply more than you can hurt them on the coal level supply. Although they love both, they definitely love both and they want to keep both. But that manipulation, that control, that pick, that I want to get you, I want to manipulate you, that is less important than their image. Their image is going to be their all important thing. So, what do I mean by that? Well, setting firm boundaries, that's going to be the very first thing that you can do to protect yourself. So, you're going to want to do that first and foremost, to just start the process of you healing and stopping the conditioning and shutting off that first form of supply for them, and also for you to stop that conditioning process and you to stop this pushing against you. It's you starting to say, I'm not going to be manipulated. It's you starting to say, I'm demanding respect for myself. And it's you just starting one little baby step. So just putting that invisible boundary down around you and saying, I'm demanding that I get to be spoken to with respect. No matter who you are, no matter what situation you're in, I don't care if it's your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your boss, your colleague, no matter who it is, you get to be treated with respect. Start just imagining that they're a toddler having a tantrum on the floor. And just when they get upset, when they get angry, just say, I can see that you're upset. I can see that you're angry. We can resume this conversation when you've calmed down, when you can be rational, whatever words feel comfortable to you. But you can say, this approach is not working for me. This conversation doesn't work for me. You can just walk away at that point. And if they don't like it, that's okay. But you don't need to remain in conversation where you're being degraded, where you're being harassed, where somebody is putting you down. No, you don't. Absolutely never. And if somebody puts you down, or if somebody says something to you that is hurtful or whatever, you don't need to say anything back. You don't need to say anything. You can just say, thank you for the feedback. But never justify, argue, defend, or explain. I always say never jade. I always say I love jade. I'm half Chinese, so I always wear jade, but never jade. Why? Because you're never going to get a narcissist to go, oh, you know what? I thought about what you said, and huh, I'm really feeling enlightened now. I've really come to believe that you're right. That's never happening. Ever. It's never happened in the history of the world of narcissists. If you ever do get them ever to say anything like that, it's because they're manipulating you. Don't bother. Just don't justify, argue, defend, or explain. First thing, set firm boundaries. The second thing you want to do is then focus on yourself. Focus on your personal growth, focus on your success, focus on who you want to be for yourself, not looking to them to validate you, not looking to them to support you, not looking to them to give you anything that you are going to need for yourself, because you're not going to get it from them. It's not happening from that section of your world. They want attention for themselves. They want validation from you, flowing in that direction. So if you want to start shifting it this direction, it's not happening for you. You need to pursue your passions and focusing on whatever it is that makes you happy, whether it's your career, your hobbies, your children, your family, your friends, whatever it is that is your thing. Do you nurture meaningful relationships that matter to you? Prioritize your own happiness, prioritize your own joy. That will be ultimately the thing that will serve you, and it will be a potent form of self protection down the road. It will definitely hurt that narcissist because they'll see that you're moving on, that you don't need them anymore, that you don't care so much about what they think or they matter so much. And it will hurt them. Focus on you. In the comments, I want you to write, I'm focusing on me. Put that in the comments below. I'm focusing on me. And if you need extra support, join my free private Facebook group, Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung. It's a great place for support. Lots of great people in there supporting each other. And I want to know, what boundary setting techniques are you going to employ? Which ones have you found to be effective too? I want to know that in the comments as well. So just drop a comment below and let us know. We are a community here and we're helping each other out. So drop a comment below and let us know. Tell us your story and share your insights. Share your insights with the rest of us so that we can learn from each other's experiences here. So another strategy in all of this is prioritizing your emotional well-being. So getting support from others. What does that mean? It might mean therapy. It might mean joining a support group. It might mean going to get help from a pastor or your synagogue or wherever it is that you go. What does a narcissist not want you to do? Have anybody other than them. They definitely want to isolate you and not want to see you go to people outside of their world. But when you're dealing with a narcissist, it's extremely emotionally draining and traumatizing. It's so toxic. So you really do need to incorporate these sorts of things into your routine and then start thinking about healing. What are you going to do to heal yourself? Is it going to be breathing techniques, exercise, yoga, all part of your therapy, right? Mindfulness, all of this is healing from that toxicity. The more they see that you are taking care of yourself, self care, pursuing your passions, moving on, creating boundaries, it will definitely hurt a narcissist forever. And the last thing is creating a strategy that includes leverage. That's all part of my slice strategy that will expose a narcissist and expose their true nature, that diamond level supply, to others. They have a very carefully crafted facade to maintain that image, and shedding light on their manipulative behavior or bad things that they've done, or their lies, or their porn addiction, or they've committed domestic violence, or that they're a cheater, or whatever it is, can be incredibly damaging to them. And hey, if they didn't want you to tell it, then they shouldn't have done it. Seeking support, exposing their true colors, getting what you want done. Those are the things that you can do to hurt a narcissist forever. Powerful strategies. Okay, so 4 things that will hurt a narcissist more than indifference. I know you've probably heard that indifference hurts the narcissist the most, right? So let's go back to what really makes a narcissist tick, because in order to understand what hurts a narcissist, you have to understand what makes a narcissist tick. Okay, so what is a narcissist to begin with? A narcissist is a person who feels like they have to get all of their form of value from external sources. They feel like they don't have any inherent sense of value. So they feel totally and completely empty inside, like there's a black hole inside of them. So they feel like they're starving. They feel like they can't get air. They feel like they can't get oxygen. So they feel like they're in survival mode all the time. So, in order to survive, they have to get their sources of air or oxygen from people, from you, or from outside the world. But unfortunately, there's nothing inside that can hold that basket. Like there's nothing there. It's just like this emptiness. So it just kind of goes right through them. So you might want to fill this black hole, and they want you to fill it too, but then you're left totally and completely depleted, and they're still starving or gasping for breath. And this horrible cycle keeps going on and on and on forever. And so then you're left utterly exhausted, and like your soul has been sucked from you, and yet they're still starving. And that's what keeps going on. And so indifference is actually the thing that allows them to just, yes, it hurts them. But what happens is they just go on to finding a different source of supply. So what hurts them more than that is what I'm going to go through now. Yes, that hurts them, of course, but I'm going to go through the things that actually hurt them more than indifference. Okay. So, because cutting off their source of supply is, yes, hurtful to them. But number one, the thing that hurts them, and I'm going to do what it hurts them the most last here. All right. So I'm going to go through 4 things. What hurts them the worst is what I'm going to go through last. All right. So number 1 is finding a better source of supply, better source, perceived better source in their mind, right? So, you have moved on to somebody that they think has more prestige, is better looking, has more money. That hurts them more than indifference, for sure. They think that you've moved on to this other person, that hurts them. Now, what they think they're hurting you is if they've moved on first, to this perceived better source of supply, even if you don't even care. But if they think that they've moved on first to this perceived better source of supply, then they're going to parade this other new person around like some peacock, boy, that's for sure. But even if you're over there with your eyes rolled up, like, I do not care. Believe me, I've been there. Like, I don't care. But if they think that you have a better source of supply, then that totally hurts them more than indifference. Okay. Number two, cutting off their best source of supply. So, whatever they perceive to be their best source of supply, whatever that is, like a really good source of money or a really good source of sex or whatever. If you cut that off, then that will definitely hurt them more than indifference. Okay. So, maybe they think that they're, have a good source of prestige or something, and they don't get to have that anymore. They get to go to some country club or something, then that will hurt them more than indifference as well. Okay. So that is another thing that hurts a narcissist more than indifference. Another thing that hurts a narcissist more than indifference is losing. So, losing anything, by the way. So it doesn't, and I don't mean just losing like a game or losing negotiations, but losing negotiations for sure. But it could be losing their looks. As a narcissist ages and they're starting to lose their looks and they are starting to look older and, they're starting to get wrinkly, that is a huge source of angst for a narcissist, especially if their looks was all they had. If that was what they really were hanging their themselves on, like maybe they were a model or a celebrity or something where their looks were pretty much everything and their identity, that could be a huge source of something to hurt them more than indifference, for sure. Losing their money, I remember when I was, a short period of time, I was helping people with their money and, working as a wealth advisor. And I remember people losing money in the stock market or losing, when people lost money to Bernie Sanders or not Bernie Sanders, whoever the guy was that took all that money from people, Bernie Madoff, that's who it was. People wanted to like commit suicide or whatever, because that was like their entire identity. Any kind of losing like that, where like their identity is wrapped up in the thing, then that's what the narcissist identity is, then that can hurt a narcissist more than indifference. And if you've seen it, put a "seen it" in the comments for me. Say "I've seen it," because I know you have. We've made our way through the first three, and now we are going all the way down to our fourth one, which is the best one. I've been trying to make my way down to the best one here, which is exposing them to their best source of supply, exposing them to their best source of supply. Because remember, diamond level supply, coal level supply. And when a diamond level supply is how they look to the world, coal level supply is how narcissists get supply from controlling people, manipulating people, that sort of thing, which they love as well. But their best source of supply is how they look to the world, and even more so how they look to people they respect, people they really want to look good to. So if you expose them to people that they really want to look good to, that's hurts them the most. So exposing a narcissist to people that they don't want to be exposed to, that hurts them way more than indifference, for sure. You need outrageous methods for taming those covert narcissists, because I think they're the most dangerous ones. They're the stealthiest kind of narcissists. They're the ones that everybody else thinks are the nice ones, the kind ones, the sweet ones, the humble ones, the humanitarians. Everybody else thinks they're wonderful. If I had $1 for every time somebody would say to me, "Oh my goodness, she's so nice. She's so wonderful. She's so amazing." For the two covert narcissists that were in my life, I'd be, a bazillionaire by now. Seriously, you just want to think that you're crazy. You think that you're crazy because everybody else thinks they are like the most insanely wonderful people on the planet. And that's why you don't want to tell anybody about it, because you start to feel like, if I tell anybody about these people, no one's going to believe me. No one's going to be on my side. No one's going to support me in this. Everyone's going to think I'm a terrible person. Everyone's going to think I'm the bad one. Everyone's going to think I'm the not likable one. There must be something wrong with me, because obviously I don't get along with this person, or I'm the one that this person went after, or maybe I just don't see it. It just goes on and on and on. And when it comes to these covert narcissists, it's just the most nightmarish experience of your life, because they are passive aggressive, because the methods that they use are so incremental, so tiny, so under the radar. And the way they do it is their hands remain clean. In a law setting, we used to call it like, are your hands clean? And that's the way I look at it with these covert narcissists. They keep their hands clean. They're able to do things in such a way that they don't have anything coming back to them, that plausible deniability, so that they can sit there and go wide eyed and innocent. What? Not me. I didn't mean it like that. Or how could you accuse me of such a thing? I certainly always have your best interests at heart. I love you and I support you, and so you just cannot ever feel like you can attack them, because they become the victim, because they make you feel guilty, because no one will believe you. And so you have to protect yourself in every possible way. I mean, when it comes to these people, it's just insanity. I mean, if I told you the stories of the things that I dealt with these people, you wouldn't even believe it. And so I know what it's like to deal with them. I do know. And I had to get myself out of these situations before I even had access to information like mine, videos that are out there, like you guys have access to. You guys have so many more resources now available to you than I ever did. When somebody first mentioned to me that I was dealing with a covert narcissist or covert passive aggressive narcissist, the number of resources available on that was so skinny, so thin, that I was so desperate and hungry for information. But now you guys have a lot more available to you. So that is something to definitely be grateful for. And you have access to support, which is also something to be very, very grateful for as well, because you know that you're not the crazy one. You know that it's them and not you, which is also something to be grateful for and feel very blessed about. And you do need to have support. And by the way, if you need additional support, definitely join my free private Facebook group. And if you need additional help, get my free phrases for disarming narcissists, which you can get at disarmthenarc.com. disarmthenarc.com. Get those for sure. And if you need support in dealing with them and you don't have access to your own therapist, we have a sponsor here on this channel, which is BetterHelp. And you can go to betterhelp.com/Rebecca Zung and get that help and support that you need. We receive commissions on that. It doesn't cost you any extra, but we just want you to have access to help and support that you need. Okay. So, number one, be indifferent to them. Be indifferent to them. That is one of the most, it seems outrageous, but just absolutely almost like your eyes are glazing over. I mean, yes, go no contact, of course, but if you have to be in contact with them, which there are times that you do, it's almost like you are a pod or a Stepford wife or a robot, if you're a man, you just like, oh yeah, hello. Uh-huh. I see you there. Yep. Nice to see you again. Great. You're just almost like a robot in interacting with them. You're just completely indifferent. I see you, anything about you doesn't affect me. I'm not bristling in any way. I'm not upset in any way. I don't feel like running. I don't have any sweat on my forehead or my nose. I just am going about my day. That's number one. You're just completely oblivious. That's the kind of thing that I did. They will step up their game and do more and more outrageous things to get your attention. And you're just outrageously like, okay, I see that you're showing up at this outrageous place that you totally don't belong at. Okay. Hello. I see you here. That's nice. Ignore. So that's number two. Ignore any and all attempts by them to get a rise out of you, to get attention from you, to get supply from you in any way, shape, or form. So they're going to try to get supply from you. They're going to befriend your friends. They're going to start showing up at crazy places. Suddenly now you notice that they're friends with this person, or now they're hanging out with your other family members, or just crazy things to try to get you to have some reaction. And you're just going to be like, okay, great. That's wonderful for you. Congratulations. Wonderful. Good for you. Nothing will be of any interest for you that is anything, wonderful, like it's all the same, as if you're just drinking your morning coffee and eating your cereal. Every single thing is exactly like that. Every single thing. Ignore any and all attempts to get any rise. It's all like this for you. Every single thing that they do. Everything. It's just like you're reporting the news. Oh, I see that you're doing this now. Never explain, justify, or overshare. You're just reporting facts. You're just looking at things. You're observing. And you're just like flat like that. Okay. That's number two. Number three is you're going to block all channels of communication. Every single thing. Block them on social media. Block every single thing. This is what I did. You block everything. You do not want to see them in your feed. You do not want to look at them. You do not want to be triggered by them. You don't want them looking at you. You don't want them showing up in your email. You don't want them texting you. Make it so that their emails go directly to your junk box So block all channels of communications and their minions also. You don't want their little minions contacting you. Block them. Put that in the comments right now. Block them. Number 4, succeed beyond their wildest dreams. You make it so that you are so successful and so beyond what it is that they ever imagined that you don't even care what it is that they're doing because you don't need them. You don't need their supply. You don't need their validation. You don't need any conversations with them because you don't need any kind of supply from them at all. Who cares about anything with them? That's super outrageous. That will tame them completely. And number 5, this will tame them beyond tame them. This is the worst one of all and the best one for you. Wipe them from the CPU of the memory of your brain like they never existed. Who cares? Because you just move on with your life. You are successful beyond your wildest dreams. You have blocked them from all channels of communication. You have completely, you know your value and worth. You know who you are. That is the most outrageous method for taming a covert narcissist. And that is the most outrageous method for yourself. And that is how you truly break free. That's the best. Now, how do you do that? How do you really move on from a narcissist, right? That's the true question. That's like the big question. How to outsmart toxic people. Yep, I've got 15 jaw-dropping methods that smart people use to tackle toxicity head on. Easy for me to say. So if you're ready to reclaim your power and thrive amidst toxicity, let's get to it. All right. So number 1 is set boundaries. So important, so crucial when dealing with toxic individuals. You need to define what behavior you will and won't accept. Remember, your peace of mind has to be at that priority. It has to be number 1 on your list. There's a saying out there that if you don't want to be a doormat, get off the floor. I always say step 1, don't run. Step 2, make a U-turn. Step 3, break free. Baby steps. They started conditioning you from the beginning. So sometimes you feel paralyzed, you feel powerless, you feel like you just don't know what to do. And that very first step has to be creating some boundaries. And if the very first thing that you feel comfortable doing is just saying, you know what, starting today, I'm not going to be spoken to in a way that's disrespectful. That is okay. That's a great boundary to start with. Walk out of the room or just start looking at them as if you are a third party. Observe and just say, you know what? I can see that you're upset. I can see that you are angry. We can resume this conversation at a time that you are ready to speak to me in a way that's respectful. Whatever it is that you need to say to get in and out of that conversation, it's okay. But set boundaries first, things first, right? So that's number 1 of our 15. We're heading all the way to 15 shocking methods that smart people use to tackle toxicity head on. Number 2 is keeping your emotions in check. Next thing that they're going to try to do is go after you in every single way. They know your Achilles heels. So they're going to do everything they can to get you all riled up. If they know that integrity is super important to you, what's the first thing they're going to do? They're going to call you a liar. They're going to say that you're horrible with money or whatever it is that they're going to try to do to everything they do can to just get you upset. If they know that being a really great parent is super important to you, they're going to say you're a horrible mother, you're a terrible dad, you're a deadbeat father, whatever it is. They know that those are the things that are going to just get you so upset. Do not defend yourself. Once you start defending yourself, you are in it. They've got you. They've baited you. They went fishing and they reeled you in. Now you got a big hook in your mouth. So when you're dealing with toxic people, they try so hard to provoke you emotionally. And by staying composed and not reacting emotionally, you deny them the satisfaction of being affected by them. So don't do it, right? Gray rock, stay like that gray rock. You don't need to go into it, point by point responses on every single little thing. You can just give them what I call that middle finger response, which is as little as possible. Just respond to the one thing that you need to respond to. We can meet at 3 o'clock on Wednesday or whatever it is that you need to respond to. Are you ready to transform lives at the deepest level while also earning money and taking your career to the highest heights? Well, if so, then my brand new Slay Master High Conflict Negotiation Certification training is exactly what you have been looking for. Get ready to acquire the essential skills necessary to guide your already existing clients or team members through the intricacies of dealing with challenging personalities, or you can become a brand new certified coach and ignite an amazing new career and start off by knowing that you can make a real difference in people's lives. Hi, I'm Rebecca Zung, and I'm an attorney, and I've been named a best lawyer in America by US News, and I'm also a globally recognized narcissist negotiation expert. I'm also the author of a best-selling book, Slay the Bully: How to Negotiate with a Narcissist and Win, and I'm the founder of the Slay method of negotiating with high conflict personalities. I am a certified coach also, and as a certified master coach in the Slay method, you will be able to guide your clients or your team members through the complexity of dealing with high conflict or narcissistic personalities, including using the power of my proven Slay method. I've literally helped thousands of people across the globe with this method, and it has saved lives in negotiating people from lives of drama, trauma, and chaos to step into lives of freedom, possibility, and purpose. And you will be able to help them do the exact same thing into finding lives of freedom and ultimately respect, acknowledgement, and that feeling of knowing that you have helped people at their deepest level of their soul, and you will be able to be paid for that. And it's not just about helping others, by the way, it's about investing in yourself and your own future. By joining this training, you will be investing in your own professional growth, enhancing your own quality of life, and unlocking limitless earning potential. Are you ready to take charge of your destiny and help shape the destinies of others while making more money doing it? Then join my free workshop, High Conflict Negotiation Certification. Boost your authority and your income. Discover why high conflict coaches are in huge demand right now, both personally and professionally. Learn how to coach people through crises, master emotional triggers, and conquer their fears, all while boosting your authority and your income. Don't miss out on this exclusive, life-changing opportunity. Just click the link to sign up for this free workshop right now. And I have another whole video called Super Sneaky Manipulators Use These Highly Toxic Tactics to Hijack Your Mind Without You Even ever knowing it. You should definitely watch that video, because there's certain things that they do to try to hijack your mind and manipulate you without you even knowing it. A really good video for you to watch also. The next thing is, don't internalize their negativity. Don't take things personally that they say or do, because remember, it's not about you, it's about them. They don't feel good about themselves, they hate themselves, they feel empty inside. So they're going to do whatever they can to say horrible, hurtful things to you. That's what they do. The way people treat other people is a direct reflection of the way they feel about themselves, good or bad. It has nothing to do with you. Don't let their negativity seep into your self-esteem or your self-worth. It has nothing to do with you. Point number 4 is limit your interactions. If you can't go completely no contact, And you have to make your contact as brief as possible. I understand that this can be very difficult if you're still in business with them, if they're still a family member, maybe you have children with this person, maybe they're a business partner or whatever. But as much as possible, limit your interactions with them. Litigating with a narcissist is like getting arrested. Anything that you say or do is going to be used against you. The more that you can limit your interaction with them, the better it's going to be. Remember that you're not going to get closure from them. I always say the 4 F's. Forget about telling them they're a narcissist. Forget about trying to get them to see your side. Forget about getting them to acknowledge anything that you ever did, and forget about closure. You're not going to get that. Forget about going back to them for all of those things, because you're not going to get that. Reducing your exposure to those toxic fumes, start healing your own well being so that you can surround yourself with positivity instead, which brings me to point 5. Point 5 is self care. Taking care of your mental and emotional and physical well being is crucial for your own resilience against toxicity. Remember, this is a battle that you're doing, especially if you're litigating, especially if you're negotiating. You know, when you're in this negotiation, when you're in this communication stage with a narcissist, remember, if you're not for them, you're against them. And if you're against them, then you are public enemy number one. They only see things in black and white. So you've got to take care of yourself physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, in every possible way. You know, breathe, meditate, do your gratitude journals, surround yourself with the right people, remembering that you are worthy of love and care. That also brings me now to point 6, which is seeking support from others, seeking support from a community, seeking support from people that you know that you can trust. And I don't mean people who are going to sit around and go into, this person was horrible and blah, 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 getting into all this victim mode stuff. It's not going to help you to sit around and have a big old pity party about why you're not getting what you deserve and why life isn't fair and all that sort of thing. Because I'm going to tell you right now, you can sit around and say that person's a liar and you're not getting what you want and all that stuff. And you can be right about that, or you can change things. No one's coming. No one's going to come knock on your door and hand you what it is that you want. You have to decide that you're going to take responsibility for your life and surround yourself with people who are going to be positive for you and support you through this and throw logs on your fire and say, hey, you can do this and you can be strong and life is going to be good for you. And you can take the reins of your life and declare it, power through this, and be the most powerful version and the most elite version of yourself on the other side of this thing, because you absolutely can. Don't go through this journey alone. Reach out to friends, reach out to family, reach out to mental health professionals, reach out to people who are going to help you set the world on fire. Find your vibe tribe. Their support, their insights will help you make all the difference in the world. And know that I have a private Facebook group, Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung, which I highly recommend that you join. And if you don't have access to therapy, I have a sponsor for this channel, which is BetterHelp, and you can access that at betterhelp.com/Rebecca Zung. You know, it is a sponsor on this channel, which means that we receive commissions. It doesn't cost you any extra. We just want you to have access to help and support that you can trust. Next is work on effective communication. Mastering assertive yet respectful communication can help you set those boundaries and express your thoughts and feelings effectively. I don't mean in a way that's like going to irritate them more or anything like that, but assertive. And by the way, I have phrases for disarming narcissists. You can grab those, they're totally free. Go to disarmthenarc.com and get them. You can use them when you're conversing with narcissists, when you're texting, when you're emailing them. They will definitely help you. Disarmthenarc.com. Next is Detach from their problems. Toxic individuals are going to keep trying to suck you in. They push you away, then they suck you back. Push, pull, push, pull. This is part of what creates that trauma bond. They want to keep you in their chaos, their vortex of craziness, that drama, trauma, and chaos. And they involve you in their issues and their conflicts, constantly starting to detach yourself emotionally and starting to see them as the toddlers as they are, and really understanding that you are not responsible for their problems. Just starting to go, they're adults. You are not responsible for that. Next is point number 9, focusing on solutions, not problems. Steer conversations toward finding solutions rather than dwelling on problems. A lot of times when you're dealing with high conflict people, it is so hard to not be constantly going, I can't win. They always get their way. I'm never going to be able to get out of this. It's very common to feel like that, but encourage yourself to stop that thinking and recognize that thinking and recognize yourself when you're in that way of thinking. Even when you're having conversations with them, get into a problem solving point of view and where are we going and where is this conversation going and how is this going to get us further toward where we want to go or where you want to go. Keep that North Star in mind. Point number 10 is positive reinforcement. Always use positive reinforcement. I always say fluff or favor, vomit later when you're dealing with a high conflict personality. If they do something good, praise them. Great job. When you want something from them, can you handle the QuickBooks? You're so much better at it. You're so much smarter. You'll do it so much faster, so much more efficiently than if I did it. Whatever it is that you want from them, fluff for favor, vomit later. Because positive reinforcement, where you're fluffing up their ego, will get you a long way when you're dealing with a narcissist. They don't want to hear anything good about you. They just want to hear how great they are. Positivity is contagious when you're dealing with them. And to be honest with you, keep whatever your plan is close to the vest and let them think that you're just not onto them. I always say it's wise to use the element of surprise when you're dealing with them in negotiations. Let them think that you're naive and you don't know what's going on. Let them talk. Point number 11 is maintain your distance emotionally. Don't get caught up emotionally in what's going on with that narcissist. Create an emotional distance from them as soon as you can and keep going. It'll protect you from being dragged into their emotional toxicity. The more you can start becoming an observer of their emotions, the better you're going to feel. And then just keep going. When they start wanting to drag you back in, when they start hoovering you back in, don't allow them to do that. It's going to be one of the hardest things that you've ever done, especially if you've been romantically involved with them. The more you can just will yourself out of that situation, the better it's going to be for you. Point number 12, don't allow them to escalate the situation. So avoid escalating the situation. Refusing to engage in arguments or confrontations is going to be the best response at all. So even if they just do whatever they can to escalate it, don't allow it, because they're going to try very, very hard to poke your bear and you're just not going to allow it, or you're just not going to respond at all. Sometimes the best response is to just not respond at all. Shut them down. All right. So I want you to put that in the comments right now. Shut them down. And which brings me to point number 13, which is practice mindfulness. A lot of times that is what you need to do. You have to be so disciplined when you're dealing with them. I mean, I always tell my clients, well, you wear the white hat, let them wear the black hat. They will eventually undo themselves. They will. The more you wear that white hat, the more they will come unglued. Sometimes you even just have to give them rope to hang themselves and they will come unglued. But you just have to continue to practice that mindfulness, be fully present in that moment, and it'll help you stay centered and balanced. Just breathe despite the toxic situation. So, point number 14 is educate yourself. Knowledge is power. And you know that learning more about this, learning more about narcissists, learning about how they operate, how they think, can help you feel stronger, can help you know that it's not you, it's them, but it also helps you to take control of yourself, become stronger, and understand where you can take your power back. Also, learn coping strategies, so many valuable insights, and understanding where you now can declare who you are and become the best version of yourself. Educate yourself. That's number 14. Number 15 is seeking professional guidance, not just for therapy, but for everything. For me, I have my SLAY program. I have my Master High Conflict Certification program, which teaches people how to become coaches. I have all kinds of programs, breaking free divorce master classes, all sorts of programs which help people. You have so many resources available to you when the impact of dealing with toxic people becomes overwhelming. Seek help from people who are here to help you. On my channel, I'm here giving you free resources from an attorney every single day. Who does that? Let's dive in. These phrases are not just words, they are tools of empowerment for you, specially crafted to help you reclaim your voice so that in the face of manipulation and control, you've got something to do, something to say. And I know that they work. You know why I know? Because I've been recognized as one of the top attorneys in the country. And I've got a USA Today bestselling book, Slay the Bully, How to Negotiate with a Narcissist and Win. And I've got millions and millions of views on this channel. So if you're new here and you haven't subscribed to this channel, what are you waiting for? Make sure that you subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any future videos. So, number one is I respectfully disagree. When a narcissist tries to belittle you, tries to belittle your opinion, calmly state, I respectfully disagree. It asserts your stance without escalating conflict. So what you want to do is you want to be able to have that invisible Teflon boundary that comes down around you so that you can start to look at them as if they are a little toddler having a tantrum on the floor, and that you can step back. I say stop, swap, and soar, right? And then you just stop, look at them. I respectfully disagree. And you can take your moment and step back. No, they're not going to like it, but it will be very healing and helpful for you. So that's phrase number one. So, number two, I understand that's how you feel. It acknowledges their feelings without validating their unjust accusations. You don't want to have to deal with their false accusations. And that's something that I know you have to deal with all the time. And if you are dealing with that, I've got a free Crush My Negotiation Prep worksheet, which you can get at winmynegotiation.com. Definitely grab that because it will help you. I've had lots and lots of people get it. I understand that's how you feel. That's a really good one too. Number three is no thank you. I mean, simple yet powerful. This phrase sets a very clear boundary. Do they like boundaries? No, but it helps you. These again are helping you reclaim your voice. That's what this is about, right? Your voice. Number four, I need to think about that. Again, you get to take a pause. Hit that pause button. Use this when a narcissist demands a quick decision to pressure you. Don't allow yourself to be pressured. Don't allow yourself to be in a situation where you have to be pressured into feeling like you have to do something, especially when they're getting ready to ask you to sign something. Never sign something without knowing what you're going to sign, without knowing what you're going to do. I've seen it over and over and over again, especially as a lawyer. No, thank you. Or I need to think about that. Both of those phrases together are very, very good. Just put no, thank you. I want you to put that in the comments right now. No, thank you. Number 5 is that doesn't work for me. And it's actually kind of a soft one. That doesn't work for me. Asserts your needs while the narcissist is proposing their agenda on you, right? Have them stop putting that agenda over your head, especially things that aren't reasonable, which is, kind of like a lot all the time, right? I need to think about this. It doesn't work for me. All these are helping you assert your voice. And if you need support, join my free private Facebook group. It'll be very helpful for you. Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung. Good stuff. Next one. Ooh, this is a good one. This is a good one. Let's stick to the facts. What do? They go all over the place. They're all over the place. They're back in 1984 half the time or whatever it is that they do, and they're gaslighting you. And you know what? Let's stick to the facts. It redirects that conversation into where you are now instead of veering off into manipulation land, gaslighting land. Let's stick to the facts. And if they don't want to, you don't have to. You don't have to have this conversation right now because you know what? You can go right into phrase number 7, which is, I don't play this game. I don't play this game. Use this to shut down the manipulation right away. The trick is when you're delivering these lines, not to allow yourself to be triggered, not to allow yourself to get emotional. That's really, really, really important because you don't want to allow yourself to get pulled in, sucked in, drawn into the emotion of it. Because the more you can remain calm, the better you're going to be as far as being able to deliver all of this in a way that's not being drawn into the mud. Because if they bait you and go fishing and you're drawn into the mud, now they have you. Now they have you. I don't play this game. Just deliver it. Next one is number 8. We're almost halfway there. Number 8 is I'm not comfortable with that. And I have seen situations as a lawyer, and you guys know that I've been recognized by US News as one of the best lawyers in America. I've done trials, I've done mediations, thousands of them. I've seen a lot of situations where people have been asked to do things that aren't comfortable for them. If you have been asked to do things that you're not comfortable with, and I'm not just talking about signing agreements here. I mean, I've seen people who've been asked to do sexual things that they're not comfortable with, or social situations, all sorts of things that they're not comfortable with. You can set your boundaries. What's negotiable are contracts, issues, and terms. What's not negotiable is your self-worth, your self-respect, your self-esteem, who you are. I'm not comfortable with that is a very polite way of setting boundaries. And you cannot have leaky boundaries around who you are. That's how you got drawn into this in the first place. When you start to say things like, well, I just want to be nice. I don't want to be the bad person. That allows you to get drawn into doing things that are against your gut. I'm not comfortable with that is fine. It's a good thing to say. It's okay. You're allowed to be who you are. Give yourself permission to be who you are. Number 9 is this conversation is over. You are allowed to get up, stand up, walk away, and feel your sense of self-respect. Give yourself permission. It's essential for when a narcissist is being abusive, demeaning, judgmental, condescending, disrespectful. Give yourself permission. That's phrase number 9. Phrase number 10 is I'm choosing not to respond. And you're allowed to say that too. Give yourself permission to not respond. Great for deflecting baiting attempts. You can say things like that, right? That's your perspective. That's another one. Phrase number 11. That's your perspective. That's the way you think. It's not the way I think. I used to say, that other lawyers, that sort of thing, even in situations like that, that's your perspective, not mine. It acknowledges their viewpoint without having to agree with them. It's like you're observing it. The next one is, I'm not going to argue with you. I mean, I've been in social situations where people have said things that are just flat out wrong. That's fine. You don't have to agree with people. Once you get old enough, you start to realize, you know what? People can just say whatever comes out of their mouth, and who cares? What difference does it make? It just doesn't matter. They can say, think, or do whatever they want. It really doesn't matter. I'm not going to argue with you. Don't escalate situations. It just stops escalating situations in their tracks. So that's number 12. Number 13 is another, one that's sort of similar. And they hate this too. You know why? Because they want that supply. They're baiting, they're fishing, they're trying to get you into it. Come on. And you're going, no, not doing it. So phrase number 13 is, I won't participate in this. I'm not going to participate in this conversation. And especially when the conversation turns toxic, but they want you to so bad. So phrase number 14 is another one that's similar. That's an interesting opinion. It's an interesting perspective, is another way to say that. Very neutral, very non-committal. It doesn't give them the reaction. They want reaction. They want supply. That's why they won't give you up a lot of times. They moved on sometimes to other supply, and you're like, why won't they leave me alone? Because they're looking for supply from you. That's why when you go to create your strategy, my SLAY method, strategy, leverage, anticipate in you, you've got to figure out a source of supply, that diamond level supply, that's more important for them to protect and defend than the supply that they get from jerking you around, and then threaten that source of supply. And that's what I teach you how to do in the SLAY method. Next is number 15. We made it here. We made it all the way to number 15. Do you know what it is? It's let's agree to disagree. Or another way I say it is, I agree with you. I used to say to opposing counsel, we can disagree without being disagreeable. It's a way to end a circular argument. If one person is fully entrenched and another person is too, you're going to be parallel forever. You're never going to get anywhere. Talk about, Chat GPT, for example, and how that has changed everybody's lives as far as, just every day in communications, for example, and how people can utilize that. I mean, just that alone.
Sure. So that type of AI is called generative AI. And so generative AI is a form of artificial intelligence where you give an input and it produces some kind of output. It could be text-based, it could be video-based. We just saw OpenAI's latest product, it's text to video, and it is startling in terms of, and people can go on my personal LinkedIn. I wrote a whole editorial on it, but it's startling how you can say something like, create a video of puppies playing in the snow, and it looks like real golden retriever puppies playing in the snow, or create a movie trailer with a spaceman in a knit space helmet is another one, and it looks like a movie trailer. With something like Chat GPT, or we see Google Gemini, which I'll talk about in a minute, I think that has built-in narcissism, and I'll say that openly, even though I'm a Google shareholder, full disclosure, and if anyone's listening from Google. Then we see Microsoft Copilot, so I can put these inputs in, and it's going to create an output. So I have used it personally. I build my own GPTs. I just did a big interview for an AI show with a bunch of girlfriends who've all won awards in AI. And I build my own GPTs, Rebecca, because I want them to sound like me. And I have different ones for different things. And you don't have to be a coder. If you have the GPT-4, which I do, the paid version, there's a place where you can go and start to build your own GPTs. And so when we see what people are using them for, we're seeing search. The number one social media search is actually TikTok now. People are using that for search, but we're seeing GPTs being used for search. We see them for optimization. Like I was negotiating a legal contract, and I have more attorneys than I have handbags, but I really wanted ADR language in there, and I didn't really like how they had worded it. So I put it in my GPT, and I said, I want ADR language, put in this, and this is what I want. And it prompted it, and I sent it back to their attorney, and he was like, perfect, we'll go with that. And that came out of OpenAI. So we're using it for a lot of different things. I think on the other side, we're also seeing a lot of people even using it as a companion, and not just recommendations for restaurant. How do I heal my marriage? How do I improve my social media presence? And it will spit out all kinds of recommendations. The thing we have to understand is that ChatGPT is a Microsoft product, and my new startup, the Pause Technologies, is also a Microsoft startup. So I'm in that ecosystem. We're building in that ecosystem. So it's using search from Bing. Gemini, Google's product, is using search from Google. And then you've got Microsoft Copilot, which a lot of my friends who are technologists, data science, and so forth are very excited about that one. It is also a Microsoft product. And then we have Grok, which is the one that Elon's team built, that is over on X. And so there's a lot of different generative AI platforms out there. How people are using them and how people like me are using them is we're using different ones for different things.
Okay, so when you say build your own to make it sound like you, can you give more direction on that?
Well, because I love you in this like girlfriend chat, how long have I been telling you as your sister, let me build one that sounds like Rebecca? It's easy to do. And
Okay,
I could do it in literally 15 minutes. So how you do it is these models are very data hungry. So I'll give you an example. So I decided, for some reason, having an esoteric like moment, I graduated from MIT Sloan. I'm going to go back to MIT Sloan and do this chief digital officer program. And I don't mind saying to your audience, because like my show is raw and real entrepreneurship. You've been on the show. I'll be raw and real. That I was like, do I need to prove myself as I'm transitioning to go into this next chapter? Am I really a technologist? Because I was always known as the non-technical founder. So I decided to go back to school. So what I did, here's an example of a GPT I built. I went into ChatGPT and I took all of the contents of the program that I am studying at MIT. I put them into a GPT. I called it Tim's World. Tim is the mascot of MIT. It's a beaver. And so now it knew how the content the professors wanted us to learn. And so when I was writing my papers and I was going in the group and having to do like the dialogue, MIT lets us use GPT. So I'm just not telling you anything my professors didn't know. Instead of me taking 3 hours to write a paper, I would do it in literally 2 minutes. I'd check the references, click through, make sure they were relevant. I asked it to cite things in APA 7 format. It did. And it was like that. If I was building one for Rebecca, what I would do is I would take inputs of things that Rebecca had written, and I would say, we are training the model. I would tell it, we are training this model, and this is the language, this is the tone. I would even give it references to interviews you've done. It doesn't really currently read video, but it will read images. But it is great at reading text. I give it any text, video, or interviews you've done, and I would train it to sound just like Rebecca. Then you can actually export that GPT, depending on, all sorts of different things, you have people who do it for you. You can export it and use it. So you could go to Rebecca's website and interact with it as though it's Rebecca. You can build a chat bot that sounds just like you and have it embedded in your website.
Okay, interesting. And all of that is in ChatGPT.
In GPT-4. And then there's a developer section there. You don't need to know how to code, but if you wanted to build, say, a chat bot, then there's some coding that's required. But these tools have made things so fast. It's incredible. So even for my new company, we are going to be building our own LLM, our own large language model. We're going to build right now in women's menopause. It is disgusting, the disparities in health. Just to give an example, Rebecca, heart disease kills more women than all the top 5 cancers combined in the United States. 70% of the data on heart disease comes from middle-aged white men. Neither you nor I are a middle-aged white man, yet the majority of that data set is from this. So we're gathering our data as we're launching our platform, which will come first in the App Store, and then it'll come in the Google Play Store, and it'll be an amazing platform for women to be able to get the best customized recommendations for menopause. And then we'll take that, we'll build our own large language model. But currently, basically anyone can build a GPT. Anyone can do it.
So if somebody is now saying, hey, I want to be able to negotiate powerfully, I want to have the edge and be able to, you know, write this really powerful email, or I want to be able to create leverage against this person, what would they be able to do using ChatGPT?
Oh, girl, we're going to get a lot of comments on this one. This is what I would do. I would take whatever correspondence the attorney had sent over. I would feed it into GPT. Don't use 3.5, use 4. I think they're working on GPT-5. I would feed it in and I'd say, help me negotiate based on this. And so it would use that data as an input. Give me questions that this attorney is likely to ask based on this correspondence. Give me, help me to have the best responses for this. You can train it to go back and forth with you. I've even put things into it. The other day, there was a GPT outage last week, but prior to that, even OpenAI, and I'm going to call them out because they have not one woman on their board. They have a female monitor, but they don't have a woman on their board. We are literally the generation giving birth to AI, but there is no current. Every company, Target is an AI company, Walmart is an AI company, any company using AI is an AI company. And women are naturally the ones that give birth. And there are a lot of smart women out there. Every company should have, firstly, someone who specializes in AI on their board. Secondly, every AI company needs to have women on their board, not just observers, but actually on their frickin' board. I said the same thing to Julie Sooth, Secretary of Labor, when I was with her at the CES this year in Las Vegas. And this is the disgusting to me that there's no legislation. That's my little soapbox. So that's as an aside, Rebecca. I know we were talking about that. But the reason I bring this up is GPT, even OpenAI will admit, oh, we know that GPT isn't responding the way it should, or blah, 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 blah. I've actually said to it, your response isn't good enough. Do critique your own work. It will critique its own work.
Yeah. So let's say you want to create a response. Okay. So you put it in ChatGPT, you can do it that way, right? So you want to say, I want to create an email response, put it in ChatGPT. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to prompt it to be able to respond in a certain way, because it's going to do some things that are fairly stock, like, things. So you would say something like, respond to this at a master's degree, MBA from Wharton level speech. the more specific you are with your queries, the better. And the more, so when I'm writing papers, I'm writing at a MIT Sloan graduate level because that's how I would write. And so that's what I tell it to do. But if you just put in like, oh, what should I say? It's not going to help you. You would say something like, what would a $750 an hour attorney respond to in this case? How would they respond? Respond like that. Respond from the point of view of someone who wants to win this case, and it will disclaim it and say, just so you know, I can't make any promises. No, but it's the thing it's going to help you do is organize your thoughts. It's going to help you come up with ideas. And AI is the first technology that is really there to enhance how humans think and produce output. All the other technologies have been like, let's move us from place to place. Like when cars started, when airplanes started, kitchen gadgets, let's just make things more efficient. This is the first technology that's designed to make our brains more super efficient, like pure technology. And that's what it should be used for. But at the end of the day, you've got to check your work. You need a sanity check. I'm not suggesting you replace your attorney with GPT by any stretch of the imagination, but it is incredibly helpful. And most of my friends who are professionals are using GPT.
Yeah, for sure. What other types of AI could somebody engage or use for getting the edge in negotiation or leverage or dealing with narcissists or dealing with somebody that's high conflict?
That is an excellent question. I'm going to shift to the dangers of AI with the people are negotiating with.
Okay.
So I want to shift because I think your question is brilliant. Of course, we want to know what we're up against. So everyone listening, watching, you're negotiating with a narcissist. And believe me, I have negotiated with narcissists in business, in life, and it sucks. Narcissists will always use tools that are out of integrity because they don't have integrity. So I want to talk about what narcissists are using that are so damaging right now. So let's start with deepfakes. So there was the Taylor Swift deepfake. And the good thing
and
is,
I just want to make sure that people understand what she's saying. It's DEEPFAKE. So it's like deep fake. Yeah. Is that, just not everybody understands what you're talking about.
Sure. Yeah, no worries. So what that was, it was widely in the media that it looked like Taylor Swift had, essentially was in porn. Now, I want everyone to know two things. Taylor Swift has millions of fans and they knew it wasn't her. And so that way it didn't last. It wasn't a problem for her because she had built a stellar reputation. To make a deep fake, it only costs, Rebecca, it can cost as little as $30-$40. You can have it done overseas and you only need about 10 images of that person to make it happen.
Wow.
That's number one. We are seeing where young girls are getting bullied with deep fakes. Before, you would have to like take an image of the person, Photoshop it. Not anymore. With generative AI, you can have these deep fakes created. So what I am concerned about is our young women. I'm concerned about in terms of negotiating, in terms of divorce, in terms of relationships, in terms of business conflict. We're going to start seeing, and we're already seeing what has happened with this election. We're going to see it at the C-suite level. We know that you and I were talking about on the show, prior to the show, that when a team of people want to destroy a woman in a leadership position, they'll just talk smack about her. They'll talk about her boobs. They'll do all sorts of stupid stuff. They'll say, oh, she's in menopause. Like, oh my gosh. Now they can do even worse. They can make up things she's written. They can make up images about her. They can make up videos with her. So the OpenAI Sora that I was talking about making the videos How do you know it's not going to be able to produce a video of a CEO who goes to church, who volunteers, who is a mom, pole dancing? We don't know, because we don't know. We won't know until we use it and get our hands on it. We've seen the images that Google Gemini has created that are false. We have seen, I put into OpenAI DALL-E, I asked it to create an image. It was such it was a very provocative image, and that's not at all what I had asked it to create. So it is so easy for these deep fakes, and it's also easy for deep fakes for voice. It's easy for deep fakes for video. So we're going to see we have seen nothing yet in terms of how dirty divorce is going to be, how dirty it's going to be in the corporate landscape. This election is already shaping up to be dirty, dirty, dirty. And it's, like, I was talking to a friend of mine who's a congresswoman, and I'm like, I don't know how you do it. The vitriol, I don't know how you do it. This election, and this is not about one party or another, or candidate or another. This is often foreign overseas collusion creating this, and it's not necessarily about the candidate asking them to do it. So it's about to get dirty on a whole other level, and we have to know this, because I'll share my tips in terms of how you can protect yourself, but you have to know that it's about to get dirtier than you've ever imagined. And we're even going to see new forms of law that come up just to deal with these deep fakes in terms of things like divorce. So,
well, how do people know if it's real or not? How can you verify?
you can't. That's the whole thing. So Meta came out with a statement, and they said, oh, we're allowing our users to say if it's AI generated or not. Here's why. They actually don't know. Back in 2008, when Facebook first started, you would get the thing, is that Susan with you? And you go, yes. And then I had a hat on, and you had a hat on. Is that Susan with you? You go, yes. That's called data annotation. All of us with Facebook accounts were complicit in training the largest facial recognition image data set in the entire freaking world. We did that. So I hope everyone, made a lot of money in Facebook, because you trained the data set. I trained the data set. Now, once again, their AI can't tell if it's AI generated or not. So they're asking us to annotate the data. It's super smart, right? It's super smart. And that's great. I invest in tech as well as being in tech, but they can't tell. And the deepfakes are getting better and better. And the videos, it used to be that they're somewhat pixelated. So they're like, you could see the little boxes like Legos. You can't see it now. And if anyone watching or listening, if you go to YouTube and you go to the OpenAI YouTube channel and you look at their video on Sora, it will blow your freaking mind if you have not seen it yet. It shows you the text prompts. That's called prompt engineering, how you ask an AI to do something, and the outputs. It's incredible.
So scary. So how do you prevent it? You can't.
You can't prevent it, but there are three things that I do want to say, and I'm on a crusade about this. So one, for your children and your grandchildren, you need to have a private family phrase that you never text, you never, ever put anywhere. It's not even written down. And that is something within your family. And so what we're seeing is people who are getting phone calls. This is a scam going on right now. So if you see a robo dialer, like a caller calling from multiple different numbers and you don't recognize the number, don't pick it up. Because once you start to engage with it, they're using AI to get your voice and your intonation, and then they're adding it to public images to create video of you, to create deep fakes. And there was someone who was just, their bank account was emptied like $40,000 because of this. And they're using that to create fake facial recognition to get into your apps that require facial. So this is some old school stuff. So number one, have a family phrase. We have one, Rebecca. No one knows what it is outside the family. The kids know what it is. If they get a call from me like, hey, I need $2,500 or whatever, they would have to ask the family phrase, because you know what? It's going to sound just like me. That's the scary thing.
Mm.
That's number one. Number two, it's time to stop posting your damn kids on social media, because anyone, if you have, any net worth whatsoever, they are going to create deep fakes of your children. We're going to see all kinds of things. And I did it too. I was complicit. I was not in this world at that time. I wouldn't do it now.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
But posting your children's photos, your teenagers, you need to monitor their phones and what they're doing. There was just an outage of about 74,000 cell phones of all the big providers here in the United States. And my next common sense thing is, do your kids actually know how to get home if their cell phone isn't working? And you may say, well, Rebecca, that sounds common sense because you and I would know how to do that. But we grew up before the cell phone era. And so you've got to be training your children. And this is also a time too that, you know, unless you have an OnlyFans or whatever it is you do, and you really don't care if those salacious images are out there of you, then fine. But if you do care, then let people know what you stand for. So then if something does arise, like people know for me in my real life, they know, oh, okay, Susan is Christian. Susan doesn't show bikini pics of herself on Instagram. There's no booty shots of me. So if they saw something like that, they probably go, hey, that's not Susan. And if that is you, and you don't show yourself in a thong on Instagram, then be who you are, because then if something comes out, your friends are going to know it's not real. But Rebecca, this is getting to the point where we even saw in Hong Kong a fake virtual meeting where they used AI generation to make all of the executives. Did you hear about this? And there was one real human in that meeting, the virtual meeting, who thought these were all the executives in the meeting, and they transferred millions of dollars to the people who did the deepfakes. Now, that company should have had safeguards. No one person should be able to transfer millions of dollars out of your company, but that is going on right now. So common sense things like always be changing your passwords, have the 20, 25 alphanumeric character passwords, don't have two passwords the same, constantly be checking your cybersecurity. Like this stuff, it trickles down. You see the bullying with kids that are using AI to bully other kids. We're going to see it more in divorces. We're going to see it more in business. And you have to practice the common sense things to protect yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, I tell people to change their passwords constantly anyway, for sure. But I mean, this is, another level of that. I mean, it's going crazy with all of this. So these are all really, really great tips.